Welcome back to DUBBZI Bricks for another episode of building the Tantive IV in Lego. Yesterday was a fantastic day for picking up Lego. I went to Dublin Airport to drop my wife off first thing in the morning, then went to the Lego store in Blanchardstown straight afterwards. Had to wait a couple of hours for them to open. I was up there that early. And when I got in there, customer service, as always, was fantastic. Shane was an absolute legend. He actually managed to find the pieces that I needed, and some of them weren't even on the menu. So top work from him. And he has made the Tantive IV a lot easier now, because there were certain parts on there that were vital to me being able to get the engines completed on there. So thank you so much, Shane. So we've got 6 boxes of Pick-a-Brick from the Lego store. Then on the way home, I stopped off and collected a order which from my bricklug. So I placed an order several months ago, and I've finally got around to getting to where I needed to pick it up. So we've got a lot of pieces in there, which again are going to come in super handy for the Tantive IV. And then when I got home, there were loads of boxes outside the house, and they were from lego.com. Well, 4 of the 6 orders that I've placed in the last week have arrived. So that is fantastic news. We're going to be able to get so much of the Tantive IV finished now, or done, should I say, not finished, because there might be a few details on there I need to get done. But yes, so much has come in. We've also had an order come in from Game of Bricks as well. So without further ado, and let's start showing you what's in the boxes. So we'll start off with the Game of Bricks order, and once again a massive thank you to Game of Bricks for all the products you send through to me. I'll leave a link in the description of the video, but I'd highly recommend checking out their products. They are top quality, the service is fantastic, and yeah, they send me through lights from my mocks every month, and I can't thank them enough for their continued support. They really do bring the mocks to life. I think the majority of the parts in here are actually going to be for Gotham City, but we've got some lampposts here. I was so impressed with the last lot that I got. I think I've got 10 more to add to the collection. So let's just get those out of the way. Yeah, so that's the lampposts all sorted. So they're going to make the city look a lot better. We've then got some 4-long connector boards, and I need some of these for the Tantive IV. Some more 4-long connector boards, some 3-long connector boards, some 8s, and some more 3s. So yeah, all of that's going to come in very handy, and it's come at the perfect time as well for the Tantive IV. So thank you once again, Game of Bricks. And remember, if you use the affiliate link or use the code DUBBZI, you will get 20% off of your order, and all orders do help the channel. And in the first large parcel here, the majority of the parts we've ordered here are going to be for the engine sections on the Tantive IV. But here we have several hundred of the 4x2 curved slopes, and we knew that this was going to be an expensive part of the build, getting all of these in that we needed. In here we've got a selection of panels, 2 long and 3 long, and this is for the parts that are going around the hull, the boarding section of the Tantive IV. In here we've got a load of the 4 long panels again, and then we've got some of these curved bricks, and again this is for the panel effect that's going around the boarding section. I have to say, I'm so impressed at how quickly they managed to get these items out to me, and how quickly it's actually been delivered as well. The service really has been top quality. I'm opening the boxes upside down because I haven't taken my dress off of the boxes. And again in here, this one is just purely curved slopes. So this here will be 180 euros worth of curved slopes in that bag alone. The gift for purchase, they were giving out, there was 180 euro spend, so I did split the order up to get more than one of the GWP, as all of the parts are going to come in handy. There's a lot of white parts on the GWP, so that was the reason I split the orders up. And yet more of the 4x2 curved slopes. In here we have a whole load of wedge plates, and these are for covering the side panels on the engine mounts. So at the moment there are some white ones on there, some grey, but I need to bring it out by 1 plate more. So I'm using these plates on there and then tiling the rest of the section. And then these modified plates here, they are for holding the panels on all the way around the boarding section and the side of the fuselage to either side of the boarding section. And then in here we have got several hundred, I can't remember how many it was, I think it's about 200 or 300 of the 1x2 slot bricks. And again, these are being used so I can alternate the stud direction on those panels on the boarding section. So on one side I want to have the curved bricks and on the other side the L-shaped panels. So in here we have 2x1 dark bluish grey cheese wedges, and these are all for the 11 engines. There's over 700 of the cheese wedges in that bag there. And in this one here we have got a load of 1x plates, 2x plates, we've got a load of bracket pieces in here, we have got modified plates, we've got slopes in here which have got the parts cut out of it. Yeah, all sorts of parts. 1x4 dark bluish grey plates there for the engines, but the majority of the parts in here are for the coverings on the panels that go on the side that support the engines. So I'm hoping that I've got all of the parts in here that I need to get all of those finished. So I've got another 16 of those to make. So yeah, fingers crossed I've got the calculations correct on that one. And in here we have another 180 euros worth of curved slopes, and it's quite depressing in some ways when you see that that's 180 euro worth of Lego pieces. When you think of the Lego sets that you could get instead of just that pile of pieces there, it does really sort of like question mock building sometimes, but it's going to be worth it once it's all done, seeing those engines completed on the back of the Tantive IV. So here we have our bricklug order, and we have got some 1x1 tiles, some 1x3 light bluish grey bricks, some 1x3 dark bluish grey bricks, some 1x2 tiles, some grey window pieces, got 400 of those. They can come in handy for a skyscraper in Gotham, and don't worry, the brickwork will not be grey. We've got some 1x1 dark bluish grey bricks. We have got some of these cheese wedges here that are 4 long. I've never seen these before, and they're in light bluish grey. It's been so handy if they've been in dark bluish greys, and I wouldn't have had to have ordered as many of those as I did. We've got these slopes here, which again, I've not got any of these in my collection. I've got the grill version, but not the solid version. So we've got 200 of those in dark bluish grey and 200 in light bluish grey. We've got a whole load, 800 1x2 plates. We've got some jumper plates in light bluish grey. We've got some 1x4 dark bluish grey tiles. Now I need these massively for the Tantive IV on the engines, as well as these ones here, the 2x4s. These are going to get, all of these are going to get used up, all 500 of those without a doubt. We've got some 1x2 dark bluish grey bricks, some 1x2 green plates, some 1x2 light bluish grey, some 1x snot bricks in light bluish grey, some 1x1 plates in light bluish grey and dark bluish grey, some 1x2 bricks, some of these brown pieces here, and these are very handy for doing trees within Gotham City. And we got a build here from Brick Vader. They didn't arrive in time, so they were sending them out to people, so they popped mine in with the order. So yeah, it's a nice selection of pieces to go with the collection. And the first time we got from the Lego store was the Ken Block's 1965 Ford Mustang. I love the Ford Mustang. I think this is a cool looking car. And there's something I want to do with this, just a few modifications to it, which I think will make it look really good. With the packing of the boxes at the Lego store, this took me, it was over 2 hours to get this all sorted, but it was time well spent. You get so much more in when you pack it properly. So we've got more of the 3x3 white plates. We've got a whole load of the 4x4 dark bluish grey, and I've covered them all with tiles. We've got a load more of the 2x2 plates and some 3x2 plates as well. I think that's pretty much all that's in that box. And in the next box here we have got a load of the 2x4 dark bluish grey bricks, and these are going to be used on the engine. And we've got 2x8 plates which are going to be used on the panels to strengthen those which hold the engines all in place. And we've got to get the stickers off of that as well. And then in the back here, we've got some more of the 6x4 plates. And one other part that I didn't even think about, but only when I saw them on the menu, I thought I have to pick them up, are a whole load more of these candle pieces, as I'm using so many of those on the Greebling on the ship. And in the next box here, again, we've got more of the 3x3 plates. We've got a whole load of 2x4 plates, as I'm really low on those. And again, some 6x4s. This box was packed very carefully, but as you can see, it's kind of a little bit of a mess now. We've got the 300 odd of the ball joint, the vital piece here, a load more of the candle pieces, some 1x2 white bricks, and some 2x8 plates there, just to help strengthen the box, and also allows you to fill a few more pieces in there. And in this box here, again, it is purely the 2x4 bricks in there, dark bluish grey, more of the 6x4 plates with the tiles on, and more of the candle pieces in the corner. And then in the final box, it is more of the 4x6 plates and the 2x8 plates. We also picked up black cheese wedges. I thought a couple of black ones here and there on the engines will give it a more weathered look, so I think that will look really good. And then of course we've got the gift for purchases, which are the Pokemon balls. So I've lost count of how many of these I've got, but again, I'm really hoping the white pieces will come in handy. So once again, a massive thank you to Shane for the amazing service at the Lego store. And before we start building, I want to say a massive thank you to CT Rose for the donation on the last video via PayPal of £25.34 and £12.31 from Cosmin Ordat. Can't thank you enough for the donation. It really is helping massively, all these donations, with the purchase of all of these bricks for the Tantive IV in that last push to get this ready for BrickCon in Dublin at the end of September. So yeah, thank you once again, and to all of the members on the channel. Can't thank you guys enough for your continued support. So we're going to be starting off this update by working on the panel section that goes here. Now that we've had our delivery come in, we've got all the pieces hopefully that we need to get that sorted. I'll then be turning my attention to the top of the vessel, and then finally round to the other side. With the removable panel that's going to be going on the other side here, I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to actually work on that at this moment in time. I think it's going to be better for me to get it built up to, say, this part here. The top section will be sorted, and then I'll worry about doing the removable panel at the very end. It's more important to get the rest of the vessel all sorted and worry about that part last, as this is going to be exposed at the convention. With the section that's going in here, I did say in the last update this was going to be fixed in place. However, again, I do think actually it's going to be better to have this as a removable panel. It's a lot easier to work on these as removable sections and then placing them in afterwards than it is pushing down on all the bricks, because I run the risk of knocking these parts, and yeah, it just causes a lot of problems. So we will be having that again as a removable section. And after experimenting with so many different building techniques using bricks, I ended up going over to wedge plates, as it meant I could get closer to this part here. As you can see just here with the two plates just there, it meant that if I had a brick here instead, you would have a ledge going all the way along there. I couldn't use snot bricks because there just wasn't enough room to get it sharp enough down this end, so I decided this was the best looking way. It's a shame to have numerous studs showing on the side there, but at the end of the day we've got them coming up along this part as well anyway. But all in all, really happy with the gaps we've got here. They're as minimal as possible. I've still got one just there that I need to fill in, but that won't take much to do that. So now we've got that part all sorted, I'm going to turn my attention over to this section just here, and then we can start blending that section to that part. What a feeling this is. With the exception of that red part just there, this side of the vessel is finished. I'm so pleased to be able to say that. So yeah, now we've got that part sorted out, we're going to rotate the build around, have a look at the other side and see what we can do with that section. There are a few parts I can do, and the other part I need to do is the bottom section on here. At the moment there's no panel on that part, so I've got to work out how I'm going to attach that. But yeah, it's just so nice seeing this part of the cockpit all done. And as per usual, I say I'm going to do one thing and end up starting something totally different. And we have decided we are going to build the removable panel here. I've put the triangle part in down the bottom here. I've attached it different than before, and I've used some Technic pins which have got the ball joint on, and that's enabled me to get it a little bit tidier, and also it's a little bit better attached on this side, which I want because of the removable panel. And here we have the start of the removable panel, and it's quite thick, as you can see just there, and when you push it in, it goes right up against that tile there, the raised one, and that stops it going in any further. Now ideally I'm going to have this removable panel will actually stop here, and then it will join on to another panel just there, but I need to see how easy it is for it to slide in and out. It might be better for me to have it just as this entire section here is removable, but yeah, we'll have a look, see how we get on, and go from there. And that's the hole all filled up. Not too worried about the look of it. It's just purely so you can't see any of the ugly filler brick and filler plate. So all I've done is I've attached some half Technic pins into the holes on the Technic brick here, and then just attach the plate straight over the top. Now we've got that all covered over, we're going to reattach this panel just here to it. I might try and get some of the reverse tiles to go on the bottom of this so you can't see the anti-stud. I think it'll just give it a nice tidy finish. But let's get this attached, then we can carry on working on the panel on the top here. So we've just got to do the details on both ends of the cockpit, do the red panel just there, and I also need to do the wing section along this part here. But apart from that, the cockpit is pretty much finished. There are a couple of little added details I want to do, but the actual shaping of it, how we're going to go about building it, is all sorted. And it's so nice to have this removable panel on here. So you start off by taking that wedge out just there, and then this part here just slides out. It's a very tight fit, but there you have it. You now got access to the interior of the vessel, so I can display it like this at the convention, or if I want to have it so that everybody can see the full Tantive IV as if it would be in space, for example. There we have it. Just pop it back in place. This part here just rests on there. I was going to try and connect it via a ball joint, however, due to the fact we've got the removable panel, it didn't seem worthwhile doing. But yeah, the cockpit is finally finished, and what a relief that is. Now I thought I'd show you all four sections of the Tantive IV all together now that that corridor section's covered over, and it looks so much better having it covered over. And part of me wants to display the Tantive IV like this at the convention so you can see the whole ship as it should be, rather than have the removable panel. So what I might do is have it so it's all covered over part of the day, and then have the panels off for the other part, because yeah, I'm just so happy with how this is looking at the front. It's such a relief to have that all sorted. Obviously there are still lots of bits of work, as we mentioned just a moment ago, to do on here, but to know that the actual structural side of this is all sorted now is so satisfying. What I want to do now is turn my attention over to the escape pods for this side, and we need to make the end sections for the other four, which are permanently fixed in place. And I haven't even looked at how I'm going to attach those, but what I need to do is work out whether or not there are any pieces that I need to order in so we can have those in the bottom of the ship there, but also how they're going to stay in place once they are there. And here was our last attempt at making an escape pod, and I wasn't that happy with a couple of aspects of it. As you can see, got a little bit of damage here. We've lost a couple of these cone piece thrusters, so we need to get that all sorted. But the biggest problem is the strength of this build, and because of the way I've built it, I've got studs pointing in each direction. So on the top, for example, this part here is not actually connected to the panels. Now, one other part that I don't think looks very accurate is this part here. Having the curved part on the top there doesn't look right, and I think it needs to be looking probably more like having one of these on there instead. The problem is if I did that, then I would lose the cockpit glass on there. That wouldn't work. The only other option I have got, which again I don't know if it's going to look very good, if I can just find one out of my collection, is by using one of these and claiming that's the cockpit section on the front. But again, not that keen on that part, so I just need to have a good think about the cockpit section. But what I also want to do with this entire build is get it so that all the studs are in the same direction. So I'll pop that off. As you can see, these are the anti-studs, and the way it was connected is on the studs here. We've got studs pointing in the opposite direction, and the axle is enabling me to reverse the stud direction on there. So yeah, it's a very feeble build, and one that I'm not that happy with at the moment. I like this effect at the bottom here using all of the cheese wedges. So that part I would like to keep. But let's start having a look at getting this so the studs are all pointing in the same direction. I need to make it so this here, the studs are going that way. So here we have our new escape pod, and it's very, very similar to the original one. I've been looking for pieces to go around here and I cannot find anything that's going to look as good as this. I would have loved them to have done a slope like this, but with the nice flat angle on there rather than the curvature to it. I think that would have been absolutely perfect on there. The studs are now all pointing in the same direction on the actual main body section just here. The engine section, the studs are pointing this way, but they are actually attached to a plate inside. So what I've done inside of here, if I can take this off carefully, we've got these studs here with the axle point in there. Then the axle's attached to this plate in here, which is now pointing the opposite direction. So you've got, as you can see, you've got two sets of anti-studs, and the axle is what's keeping the engines in place now. So I think that works a lot better than the way that I previously built it. There's a lot more strength in this build. So this is the final look, I think, at the moment. If I can think of any other design for this front section, I will certainly look into it. The one thing I don't like about this is the fact that there are supposed to be two thrusters on the front, and I've got nowhere to attach them. So that is one part that I don't like about this. So yeah, there is a very good chance I will revisit this. You know what it's like on DUBBZI Bricks. We don't stop until we're 100% happy with something. So that's the escape pod that is removable from the side of the Tantive IV, which is where the exposed sides are. And this is the escape pod that's going to be on the opposite side where you can't see inside of the vessel. And I was experimenting with this and it just doesn't look right. So yeah, I've decided that I will stick with that front section. This had more of the shape that I was after. I don't like the black ring around there, and if I put a grey one behind it, then again I just don't think that this looks like a cockpit section of an escape pod. So yeah, we will go for that version, but this is the part which we will somehow attach to the other side of the Tantive IV. Once I've attached or worked out how to keep this inside of the Tantive IV, then we'll know how much of this we actually need to be sticking out. So I might, for example, only need to use one macaroni piece on there. Yeah, there we have it. The escape pod for now is done. And here we have the device which is going to hold the escape pod all in place. And we don't need too much strength in the build, as there's so much friction in the hole that it comes through that should, fingers crossed, be all that it needs. So let's put the escape pod in there and just see how it looks. And this has worked out perfectly. There we have the escape pod all in place. And when you come down to the bottom here, we've got just enough sticking out. Now, originally, I did have this part here on top of the Technic beam. I didn't have the inverted slopes on the bottom. However, there was too much of the escape pod sticking out of the bottom. So the easiest thing for me to do was to raise this up. And you can push it down a little bit so I can get it to the exact height that I want to on there. And that'll come in handy when I go to attach the escape pod ends on the other side of the vessel, I can get this side here to match up to that side, which is going to be a lot easier, a lot better way of doing it. So yeah, really glad that we've come up with this simple design for doing this particular part of the build. All I need to do now over the next couple of days is build up the other escape pods, or do as much as I can. Need to order the cockpit glasses in for those. But yeah, really satisfying to have that part on the ship. Anyway, that's all we have time for. I hope you've enjoyed the update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. And if you know anybody else you think would be interested in building the Tantive IV in Lego, if you could share the channel with them, it'd be much appreciated. Anyway, till the next time, bye for now.